Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Hi everyone. Dulcinea Shave Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Julia Holter record, Have You in My Wilderness. Julia Holter is a singer-songwriter, a pop artist of sorts, whose previous full-length albums ran pretty ambient, especially her breakout projects like Tragedy and Ecstasis. My personal favorite is Loud City Song, her last full-length album. And in the case of Loud City Song, the instrumentation was really ethereal. It was sweet. It was very serene, very calming, relaxing music. On the surface, doesn't really sound like anything that should be demanding too much attention, but the songs were so good and just shined through so brightly that they didn't really need to be played at a loud, peppy volume in order for their magic to really translate. Now, there were some singles leading up to this new full-length album over here that had me very excited for it and anticipating a bit of a change of pace because the songs teasing toward this record were some of the most loud, upfront, bright, and bold songs that Julia Holter has written in a while. So I went into this record looking forward to a more intimate, upfront, close, and personal Julia Holter. Not only because of those singles, but also the title here, Have You in My Wilderness. I sort of thought going into this record that I was going to be going to a place, a very personal place, and sort of get to know Julia a little better through her music, which is something I've had a hard time doing because even though I've loved her music in the past, it sounded very beautiful, very pretty, very dreamy, I never really got a strong sense of her personality as a songwriter. So it would be interesting to hear Julia put out a more personality-driven record. Songs like Sea Calls Me Home are nothing but personality-driven, kind of very steadily paced piano pop with some kind of eccentric vocals on this track and a few other moments here. Julia doing her best kind of Nico vocal. Very slow, deep, dramatic, but also very captivating and emotional too. And the rest of this record is much clearer than some of the stuff Julia has put out in the past. It's still a kind of soft-spoken and shy record, but Julia has really given herself nowhere to hide in the mix. She's really there in your face, even if it is in a very quiet way. And her vocals are just thrusted up by this gorgeous, lavish, heavenly instrumentation, these pianos and strings and drums that sound wonderful. They shimmer, they shine. The production here is so modern, it's so clear, it's so layered, it's so clean and fresh and new, but it kind of has a, I don't know, something to me of a Phil Spector-ish vibe with just how orchestral and kind of blissful a lot of the instrumentation sounds. A lot of the instrumentation here, the string sections especially, are very intricate and they're dense, but simultaneously the music feels so weightless. A lot of these songs sound as if I am just floating on a cloud towards some kind of golden gate with wonderful bright sun rays peeking out from behind all of these, I guess, cloudy, pillowy walls of white. And in delivering this feeling, Julia kind of finds opportunities to bring some variety to the table too. In the case of Lucette, stranded on the island, I love how repetitive a lot of the lyrics and the musical phrases on this track are, and as they are repeated, the instrumentation just thickens and intensifies to the point where it gets a little overwhelming. And there are other tracks too that feel as repetitive and as drony as well, but bring a different vibe, like on the song How Long, which is incredibly sinister and dark and dreary, maybe the dreariest moment on the entire record. I almost said Nico there, but Julia's vocals here do remind me of Nico a little bit again on this track, specifically her record Marble Index, although I've been listening to that album a lot lately, so maybe that's why I kind of pull from that album instantaneously. But this is a really dark Baroque pop on here. The strings are really weeping in the background on this track, and Julia's vocals are just really bellowing and very deep and very dramatic, and I love the lyrics on this track too. And the song Vasquez, toward the back end of this record, is very light on the quiet ears, a lot of spoken word passages in the first half. Reminds me a little bit of Kate Bush's 50 Words for Snow in a good way, although maybe it is my least favorite track on the entire record because it does seem to be the least engaging for me on the record. Maybe it's the one song where I think it gets lost in its own atmosphere a little bit without being as direct as many of the other tracks here. Even though the album is very soft-spoken, the songs are very upfront and very sweet and very instantaneous to me a lot of the time in their own sort of way, whereas Vasquez is very esoteric and kind of dodgy, which it might grow on me with further listens to the record. And then there's another side of this LP where I think Julia is really showing off her pop chops in a way and just writing some of the peppiest tunes I've ever heard her sing. The song Every Time Boots, one of my favorite tracks on here. On this song, definitely get your jazz hands out. The very just jovial piano chords all over this track are fantastic, and Julia's vocals bring forward a lot of personality. She's very fun, she's very playful. I love the luscious strings on this track. I love the romping drums as well, and kind of the little tappa-tappa percussion on here as well. I could imagine a good tap dance number to this track. The song Sea Calls Me Home, which I mentioned earlier, but another thing that I love about this track, the weird whistling passage in this song is really unexpected but fun, and the sax solo, it's one of the loudest, freakiest, most aggressive moments on the entire record, and I love how we get a sax in the left channel and a sax in the right channel just kind of doing different things, or maybe it's just kind of a chorus of the same take kind of at a different time or something, but it's really psychedelic and weird. I love to hear a dream pop record that is so ethereal and so serene, but is taking like these incredible instrumental risks sometimes. Like this record, while it does have its very relaxing moments, every once in a while, like on this track, it just busts through with something loud, bold, and crazy, which makes these moments even more significant because they stick out because of how intense they are. But I think maybe my favorite track on the entire record is Betsy on the Rooftop, where I think Julia's most impassioned and exciting vocal performance on the entire record is on this song. I love the way her passion just and her volume just escalates along with the instrumentation as it continues along. And this song, with many other tracks on here, Julia delivers these really haunting refrains, just hauntingly beautiful. What did I do to make you feel so bad? And I guess I'll use this opportunity to get into the lyrics a little bit. They are esoteric, but intriguing as well. Julia isn't really telling these kind of personal me type stories in her lyrics. I think she just gives us enough of an image to kind of go off of and pull things together a little bit. But beyond that, there's really not much to what she's singing and what she's saying. It sounds like a lot of what she's on about in the lyrics comes from a very personal place, but I feel like we are kind of lost in Julia's wilderness on this record. We're getting these little bite-sized and obscured portions of maybe her experiences or dreams or something. Lyrics are definitely a point where Julia is definitely obscured, while her vocals may be very clear on this record. What she's singing about isn't always. However, she does at least make sure to pair a lot of these tracks with some great choruses and with some great refrains to make them catchy and make them memorable. And again, just enough is given to us to make what she's singing about sound kind of intriguing or haunting in some kind of way, especially on the closing track where she is singing about this person running away from her, which kind of makes the very abrupt ending to this track kind of fitting. Although I wouldn't say that the abrupt endings on a lot of the previous tracks are all that fitting. A few of them really do kind of ruin the song for me, especially on the track How Long, slightly on the song Night Song. If there is one big kind of Achilles heel to this record, it's that I wish Julia wrote some stronger endings for some of these tracks. It certainly seems to be intentional, and in some of the cases on these songs, I think it works, how Julia kind of will have a really intense musical moment on one of the songs, or give us a really catchy refrain and then kind of just peter the song out really quickly. Not too bad, but during a few moments here, it does feel like some of these tracks still had a little more life in them, but she kind of cuts it off a little prematurely. Other than that, I think it's an incredible record. It's one of the best Baroque and dream pop records I think I've heard in a while, and it's awesome to hear Julia kind of flexing her vocal and her singer-songwriter muscle, giving us a record with a little more personality, and her coming through with just fireworks on a lot of these tracks. Very subtle fireworks. I'm loving the songs, the production, the instrumentation, the vocals on this thing, and it's easily one of the prettiest records I've heard this year. Not a whole lot of complaints about this thing, mostly praise. It's a great LP. Make sure you listen to it. I'm feeling a light 9 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? If you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, music forever.